let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. I would say the Packers, to me, were one of the more surprising teams to come out of last season. There's a lot to wonder about when it came to Jordan Love. Would he take this team to the next level? Would this young group of receivers and a young team in general be able to get the job done? And to that aspect, I would say they're also the most impressive team to me last year, as well as far as the performance they put on. Absolutely phenomenal. I think they blew away most people's expectations. And I think there's just a little nudge and here and there, a little bit of extra help will get this team to the next level, and that is potential Super Bowl contenders. And the Packers have made a very smart hire that I think maybe help get them on the way there. Let's get into the article, and I want your thoughts on this on the other side. This is from over on NBC Sports. It says back in 2017, Matt LaFleur was the Rams offensive coordinator and worked with then backup quarterback Sean Mannion. Mannion was a third round pick in the 2015 draft. He also served as a backup quarterback for the Vikings and the Seahawks before calling it a career in 2023. Now Mannion will work with LaFleur again as an offensive assistant for the Packers, but Mannion was nearly going to work with another former member of that same Rams staff, Shane Waldron, in Chicago. Mannion had spent time alongside Waldron in Seattle too. On Thursday, LaFleur explained that he spoke to Mannion via Zoom during the NFC Championship game about the presentation Mannion was set to give for the Bears for his interview. LaFleur was struck enough by Mannion and what he had to say that he wanted to interview the former quarterback himself. He says, "I'm surprised they let him out of the building," LaFleur said via Pete Doherty of Green Bay Press Gazette. "But they tried to get him. I guess we had more to offer, but we're lucky to have him. I really do think he's going to have a bright future for us and certainly in the coaching profession." So I think this is a really cool story, Nick. Just, a guy recognizing talent, just helping a buddy out originally, try to get prep for his interview. And he said, "Hey, good coaching spot open here." I think it's a smart heads up play by head coach Matt LaFleur. Curious what your thoughts are on this one. But Packers fans, in the comment section below, I think this is a team heading into free agency. You have a couple holes that you could fill, but there's a lot of options on the table as far as the Packers, a very young team. Let us know, what are you looking for out of free agency for the Green Bay Packers in the comment section below. But Nick, what are your thoughts on this latest hire by the Packers?
Yeah, so it's important to lead with this. The effect that Sean Mannion will have on Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers offense in 2024 will realistically be pretty close to zero. But that's not what this move is about. And I think there's an overarching theme here that I really want to emphasize is that even though we've entered a transition era through the Green Bay Packers, obviously moved off Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love is the man going forward. But no matter what, it is clear, undeniably so, that the Packers somehow, some way have just a total death grip on that rivalry with the Chicago Bears, one of the great rivalries throughout the NFL, frankly, one of the great rivalries in American sports. And I think keeping that alive, keeping that total domination alive is really important for the psyche and culture of the Green Bay Packers because it keeps a really imposing rival down. We talk about the Bears a lot on this channel. Their front office is one of the smartest in football. Their GM, Ryan Poles, has done an outstanding job. They've got an incredible amount of assets. They've obviously got them one overall pick, a lot of draft capital. It feels like for a few years now, we've been talking about the Bears getting better and better, while the Packers potentially were going to decline. That obviously has not happened. The Packers proved in 2023 they're still a playoff contender. The Bears still seem to be trying to go through the rebuild. And this is just another example of the Packers owning the Chicago Bears. Mannion was going to go join Waldron and be part of that Bear staff. That was a 99% done deal. And then Matt LaFleur at the last second was like, "You know what? I like what you did. How about you stay here?" And Mannion's like, "Yeah, I would rather be in Green Bay than go to Chicago." That is the key story there. In Chicago, rebuilding, young quarterback, most likely Caleb Williams. That could have been a chance for Sean Mannion to really make his name because honestly, we all know Jordan Love is good now, right? There's no surprise there. But Mannion looks at the opportunities. He looks at Chicago and he looks at Green Bay and says, the Packers, far better organization, far better franchise, far more likely to win. And I think that is the clear part of the story to me is that the Packers have once again asserted their dominance by pulling this fast one on the Chicago Bears. Will Mannion help in the coaching staff? I'm sure he'll do some positive things. Obviously the Packers quarterback position with Love's already really good. LaFleur is really good with quarterbacks. So I don't expect Mannion really going to have to do a lot, to be totally honest. But I think the larger theme here is that the Packers continue to own the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and you look at the difference between the two teams. I think one thing that LaFleur said really stuck out to me is when he said, "I guess we had more to offer than the Chicago Bears," and you brought it up. Ryan Poles has done a great job with that team. You think a guy, offensively focused, quarterback focused by Sean Mannion, he looks at the Chicago Bears and he's like, well, they got a lot of cap space coming into this season, really high there. They have really great draft capital, number one overall pick. There's a lot of possibilities going to make a career going early on with the Chicago Bears. Say, hey, maybe I get in the next great quarterback, ride the coattails, get, my start in the NFL. But he looks at the Packers and he's so impressed by what they have. He's just saying, hey, they have more to offer, even though the Bears have the first overall pick, even though the Bears have such great salary cap situation. The Packers are still a better destination than the Bears. So it's like the Bears can have a king's ransom, but other people still, like you said, they own the Bears. The Packers they can really just not even have as much to offer in way of salary cap and draft capital. But someone's like, I still like the Packers a little bit better. So I just think through those aspects, it's really interesting to me that a guy like Mannion proved that point in the case that he's like, all right, even with all of this stuff on the table for the Chicago Bears, I just think the Packers is the better place to be.
It just speaks to, and again, nothing against the Bears. I think they've done a great job the past few years organizationally, but it speaks to how structurally sound the Green Bay Packers as a franchise are, where you have everybody wanting to come back, everybody wanting to stay. You got Mannion essentially declining the Bears, wanting to stay with the Packers. I've said this before, and I think this is one of those key themes throughout the NFL. Consistent winners are due to strong organizational leadership at the top of any franchise. And the Green Bay Packers, for whatever reason, maybe it's because they don't have an owner, maybe because they have a more corporate structure, that they don't get the respect they deserve. But this is one of the best organizations. This is one of the best franchises in terms of how they run things from top down of any team in football. You could make an argument that they are the best at this in the NFL. In fact, their new defensive coordinator just recently said, quote, it really has more in terms of why he came to the Green Bay Packers. It really has more to do with this place than anything else. It's the Green Bay Packers. I mean, it's the mecca of the football world. I mean, that means something. College coaches know it. Players know this. Young assistants like Mannion know this. And it's not just the history of the Green Bay Packers, it's the organizational strength from the top down. And this is just another example of it. And it's just another reason why the Green Bay Packers continue to own franchises like the Chicago Bears so decisively.